Hello, my name is Prior Chad, and I'm the vicar here at St. Augustine's Episcopal Parish in Tempe, Arizona. And this video is intended to provide an introduction and some context to a sermon that was delivered here on October 4th, 2015, by the Reverend Canon Timothy Dombek. October 4th is traditionally the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, one of the most beloved saints in the Western Church. Unfortunately, Sundays take precedence over such feasts, but Canon Timothy, thinking ahead, got a permission from the bishop in order to use the propers for the Feast of St. Francis, which included a reading from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians, a selection from Psalm 148, and a gospel from Matthew chapter 11, wherein Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and bearing heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Canon Timothy uses the life of St. Francis, and in particular the prayer attributed to St. Francis that we find in our prayer book, to reflect upon the vocation of being peacemakers, of those who bring the goodness of God's way of being into the world, especially in light of such tragedies as the most recent school shooting at the community college in Oregon. I hope that you are able to hear the prophetic call of Canon Timothy's words, and that you can reflect upon how that prayer of St. Francis can inform your vocation as a member of Christ's church in the world. Blessings upon you.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be with you all. I've been here since yesterday, meeting with your leaders, and had a wonderful worship service this morning after a spectacular, beautiful drive on the way in. Sometimes you miss out on beautiful skies when you go to the 10:30 service. But it's so great to celebrate the Feast of St. Francis with you all. By permission from the bishop, I wanted to focus on Francis because Francis is one of the major influences on monasticism in the western part of the world, Western civilization. And you have the monastic community beginning right here, based in the parish. And I thought the combination of those two things is just so remarkable. It's kind of a new monasticism. And I'll tell you, we all believe it's an exciting time, down at the diocesan office, we all believe it's an exciting time to be at St. Augustine's. And we're all watching you to see what we can learn from you, and we pray for you that you be successful in this new time of transition with Prior Chad as your leader. I never heard of Umpqua Community College, 6 miles outside of Roseburg, Oregon, until last Thursday. Maybe you never heard of it either. And now, we will never forget it. Although it's possible we would forget it if the sheer number of mass shootings continues. But today, we hear Jesus' words in the gospel differently, more poignantly, in light of Umpqua Community College. Come to me, all you that are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Reflecting on the latest school campus shooting, here on the edge of the campus of the university, was not the original message I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to talk about the life of St. Francis and his influence. Francis is an amazing figure from the late 12th and early 13th centuries. And his popularity right now is worldwide. More people know about St. Francis now than ever did in his own lifetime. And that's true among Christians and non-Christians. Non-Christians in particular are attracted to St. Francis and his views on the environment and on the animal kingdom. And many people have St. Francis statues in their gardens and don't really know the whole story behind the man. Francis was radical in the way he embraced the poor, the sick, and the lonely, particularly those with leprosy. And he's most well known in monastic circles for his willing engagement to lady poverty. I don't know if you're aware of it, but St. Francis founded 3 religious orders that survive to this very day. The Franciscan order in the Roman Catholic Church, and the Franciscans have owned and protected most of the holiest shrines and sites in the Holy Land in Israel for centuries. A similar religious order for women, the Order of St. Clare. And then an order of religious followers who are lay people and married, the Third Order of St. Francis. And even in the Episcopal Church, you can be a Third Order Franciscan if you so chose. Lecturers have said St. Francis is the most popular of all the saints and the least imitated. It's true. That's where I wanted to go today, but instead, this Sunday, we face yet another mass killing at another school, now becoming routine, it seems, and with no end in sight. To paraphrase that great rock and roll Hall of Famer and part-time theologian Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, this is not how we are. We have become comfortably numb. The deep systemic issues of our society that contribute to events like Umpqua Community College will require enormous legislative struggles to make any substantive change. There is no simple fix to this. And we know this. And our powerlessness to do anything about it frustrates us to no end. So I was thinking, what would Francis say to us today? And you know what I think he would say? Who told you you were powerless? You see, Francis understood power. He fought in wars over power. Son of a wealthy merchant, Francesco Bernardone had access to power and money and influence. To put it plainly, he was a bit of a playboy. And he lived during a time when cities in Italy frequently fought wars against each other. Before his conversion, as a young man, Francis fought in one of these wars, and he was taken prisoner. And it was there, it's amazing how being in a jail cell can often focus the mind. It was there he began his spiritual questioning. After his release, he became gravely ill, and it was in this time of convalescence that he got serious about his faith, and his conversion truly planted and grew. It finally occurred to Francis that worldly power, money, and influence, mere trifles of human design, were nothing compared to a life set on imitating Jesus Christ and living in the power of his resurrection. By shedding all his connection to what humans consider powerful, literally stripping off his clothes and handing them back to his Father, Francis then put on the habit of humility and prayerful obedience. He lived in complete trust in God's provision, leaning on God's power. This poor, little beggar priest, whose life in Christ now inspires millions around the world, almost 800 years after his death. Remarkably, sisters and brothers, Francis does speak to us today, even this day, after Umpqua College. Francis summarized the experience of his life in Christ in the words of a prayer attributed to him, which you can find in the Book of Common Prayer. If you'd like to turn to it, you'd find it on page 833 in the Red Book of Common Prayer. It's in the back in the section called Prayers and Thanksgiving, page 833. Near the top, I think it's prayer number 62, page 833. If you are feeling powerless or lost or without hope at any time in your life for any reason, and you do not know what to do, consider the call to action of our brother Francis. He begins, Lord, make us instruments of your peace. That's where we need to start when we face things like Umpqua Community College. Lord, make us instruments of your peace. That's easily said. How do we do that? Francis shows us. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, let us sow pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Those are strong statements of things that we can do right now in the face of such violence. And then he goes on to remind us the importance of this. Grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console. You have to put the other first. This is loving our neighbor as ourselves. To be understood as to understand. To be loved as to love. You see, we don't really get it sometimes. We have to give things before we can receive them. And when we give consolation, understanding, and love, those things come back to us. As long as we're focused on the giving, not on the ultimate receiving. And then lastly, he gives us the rationale behind doing this. Why would we want to do this? Is to remind us that it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And there you see that theme in the middle. Giving is what matters. Pardoning is what matters. This is we will forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And dying, being born to eternal life, well, that's nothing for us to fear as Christians or Easter people. We don't fear death. Francis has given us a little blueprint on how to respond when things are crazy, like what we see in the news. And maybe if we pay attention to our neighbors more closely, maybe we can see someone who's being left alone, perhaps because they may have an invisible disability, they may have mental illness, that maybe there's some reason for their aloneness. And as we know, a lot of these people who are involved in these shootings have got issues that are outside of the mental health care system. And perhaps our observation, our reaching out, our caring can heal the person, as well as other people who are deemed invisible in society by visible or invisible disabilities. Ultimately, sisters and brothers, I believe it is only our freely offered love, our attentive care for each other, and our generosity in spirit and in giving that will make any lasting difference in this world in our lifetime. We have been given through baptism the spiritual gifts and the ability to act in the world and to create change already. It's true, all of us are gifted, and we have gifts to give the world, to change the world. By our love and compassion, we can actively respond more quickly than any government or legislative body could ever hope to act. Not to say government should not act or not enact better laws, but we must not wait for them to act first. We must act first. And as Francis demonstrates for us by his own life, worthy of our study, we can act already in faith and love and with God's help. And it won't be easy because we have to begin such a change by changing ourselves first. We first have to change our hearts toward those whom we feel are to blame. We have to love them first and see them with the eyes of love, the eyes of Christ. This is what Francis models for us in his prayer. So plainly, so humbly, so completely. You know, if you look at it again later, it's almost a rule of life, a miniature, that prayer. So begin here. If you're tired and frustrated of hearing these same stories again and again, right where you are, begin here if you're seeking something to do in response to all this violence. This violence that seems to fill our common life time and time again. And for all the people of Roseburg, Oregon, and across the country, whose hearts are broken, and who are grieving this weekend, let us rest in the words of Jesus in today's gospel. Come to me. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden